Hello guys, this is our first lecture of the series Introduction to the Econometrics using statistics, using Stata. Stata is a very good software for especially that we can use in data analysis and in econometrics. So in this lecture, first of all, we see how we can import the data or use the existing dataset or example dataset that are already in the Stata, and then how to describe the variable, and then we do the basics operation on it to just get the familiarity of the Stata. So as there is many examples data set. For example, we use the SP500 data set. To use this, we simply say, keep in mind that this is actually, if we just have an introduction of the Stata, then this is actually the uh, output window. The output of any command will be displayed over here. These are the command window where we give the commands. There will be the variables, and that is the characteristics or description of the variable. There is a command history. So first of all, we just use a uh, data set of data that is already in the data in the Stata. So we see 500.dt is the extension for Stata data. So using the example data set, you will see as we give the command. So you see here the variables. You will see the variable. And for example, if you select any variable, its description will come somewhere. See, if you want to see the data, you can browse. You can use the command browse. If you have to browse, then it will go to data editor. There's a convention in Stata. Instead of writing the whole command, we just write its first two or three words. You'll see at the at all the data set is displayed. You can also see this data set in your out window by just typing list. For example, you want data price, you will list close. You will see all you can see the command in your out window, both in browse or in list or in many data commands you can use in operator for range. For example, list date close in, you will give the range. For example, I need 1 to 10 observation. You will only have a 10 observation. You can also uh, give a certain condition using if. For example, give me data and close if close. For example, you say if the close price is then 1000 1200, 1200, for example, it will give you all the list, all the data set where the close price is more than that. So similarly, you can use this with many commands. For example, you can use browse date close. If, for example, say if we're interested, we're looking only the dates that are after the June 2001. So you simply say if date is greater than, normally we use day. TD is a format. If you were you For example, if you give in June 2001, if you use data, the dates. So dealing with date in Stata is a bit different than in other packages. So if we use this kind of data date, then we use the TD. If you write direct 01 June 2001, it doesn't recognize this. So we use the TD, mean time and date function to convert it into proper date. So we will go in detail in our next lectures that how we can deal with the dates. For example, see, you will see in the browser we can only see the dates that are older than Joe. You will see. Same we can do with the list command. Okay. So this is how if, for example, a list or if you use with list or browse are so many commands, and if is used already with the condition, and in operator is used with certain range. Similarly, for example, if we are renaming certain variable, for example, if we use that instead of close, we need to label it with like price. For example, we rename instead of name, we just say ren rename close to say, for example, we are interested that we just write price. So you see, the close is change with the price. We can take we can see how we can describe the program data. So just you describe which will analyze data and tell you that there are and just describe your data that there are 248 observations, their story type, integer, float, double, their display format, and their label. Similarly, we will go in more detail that what is the story type, what's integer, what's float in our next lectures. So be with me. For example, if we want a bit more detail, then we should codebook. If you issue codebook, it will show you each and everything in more detail about it. Any variable. For example, price, it shows you it numeric data. It ranges from 9621 to to so much. There's no missing value. There are 247 unique values. It means this standard deviation is percentile is this. And if you want to have a summary of data, you can issue summarize. I just issue the keyword of command. So if you write the summarize, it will give you the mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum of your data. Uh, see if we are more if we would just work on certain variable, for example, if we know only need date and price, then and and we don't need the other variables to keep the thing simple, we say we should command preserve mm, simple one thing. It will, if you issue the preserve, it will preserve your data in this state, and you can do the, for example, keep for example these two, and then after preserving you can keep the restore, and it will restore the data. For example, see, if we should preserve, okay, and then we say keep. For example, if we want to keep only the two variables, for example the date and price, you will see you there are only two variables you are seeing on it, and say we work only on two variables. So it's very handy that we can keep only these kind of variables. Uh, so, for example, if we say since this is a time series data, we should declare the time series that it is declaring time series data. For example, which variable is a time series? It is, and you will see it's a daily. set daily. Actually, the original command, you see, it's a time series, declare data time series. And you will see, if you issue this, your date, and then yearly, monthly, which kind of thing. You will, since we have a simple way, we do. So you have your option. If you use the menu, you can use the menu, and if you use the commands a bit better because it's very fast and simple way to do the things. So now your data is declared uh, time series. If there's a time series data, then it's mean that you can issue time series commands on it. If you don't declare the data in time series, then you can do the time series operation like taking leg or other time series operations. So see, for example, if we want to do certain operation on it, so say for example, so we can generate or simply write gen. So has so this way we uh, generate a variable. For example, see we want to generate a variable of returns. Uh, if it's a simple returns, then we say it's 100 multiplied by C price minus L dot mean leg of price divided by leg of price. You see, for example, price, leg mean it's previous one day. If we're using daily data, then it's a current price minus previous. So previous price divided by previous price. Previous price mean it's a one day leg. So if you see that the returns are produced, and this is simple return. If we want to generate the log returns, we can similarly see log of that is actually price divided by leg of L dot is a leg of it. It gives you the first leg. First leg means it is actually the you see it's it's written, and this is actually if you don't multiply by 100, you will see these two returns are almost equal. See, for example, if we generate return and we don't multiply it with this, and I say returns 1, you will see that log return and returns are approximately the same. It's not there's so much difference. So see, if we want to drop uh, return minus 1, simply type drop. So you see how we drop a variable. For example, if you want to drop this, let's see the browse, and you will see return 1 is drop. It's delete. So you see how we can delete a variable in just one command. So these are how we actually generate the variable. Now simply if you want to take the uh, time series plot, so this mean time series line plot. Simply you can go over the graphs and come to the time series graphs and line plot, and or it's very easy to just type the case line and the variable, and you have the time series plot. This is the time series plot. Similarly, if you want to the graph of log returns. Yeah, I have given the log returns. Simply log return. You will see. Sorry, I have mistyped this line. Log return, and you'll see the log returns are already displayed. These are the log returns, and these are the dates. Um, Similarly, if you want the histogram of say returns, say price, then you will use the histogram of a certain variable. So it's very easy to take these commands into action. Last but not least, if you want to import the data from data, then see it's a very good way. For example, Excel sheet. Come to the Excel sheet, and if you have the Excel sheet in certain, say, in for example, I know that I have the Excel file somewhere in my working directory. So I just take in data, and it's, for example, see UK. I have a UK HV. You just actually browse where the Excel file is placed, then simply say import first row as a variable. Since my first row is actually a variable, and keep in mind that all the data is in a and mention the cell range. For example, if your data is start from 1A to B198, then please mention it, and then just click. Oh yes, 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 yes. You say you want to continue and lose unsaved data. You say, for example, I suggest. So you'll see if you my previous data has lost, but it's far better that you can save your data and then go to another data. But I have already my data with me, so I'm not in so much ado. But you should first save your data and then do the things. So just set browse, and you'll see this is the data. All the data is placed over, and you can do many operations with that kind of data. So in next lecture, we will see how we can operate that kind of other things. Thank you.